Hey everyone, Nick Engvall here. Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about some of the people that make the sneaker history community and this podcast possible. It's more important than ever to think about who you give your money to when you're buying clothing to go with your kicks. Our friends at Guilty Goods started their brand with a goal of giving back, especially to the communities that make sneaker culture possible. With every purchase from Guilty Goods, at least 10% of the proceeds are donated to organizations like Big Brothers and Big Sisters, the Susan G. Komen Foundation, the Movement for Black Lives, and many more. You can save 30% on your order by using the code HISTORY at guiltygoods.us. Again, that's history at guiltygoods.us for 30% off, and you can feel good about your purchase knowing you're supporting a meaningful cause. Sneakers are all about presentation, and if you're like me, displaying your kicks at home or in the office is just as important as when they're on your feet. Sneaker Throne makes sneaker display cases featuring customizable LED lights, drop side cases to showcase the entire side of the shoe, not just the heel or the toe, the whole shoe. They've also got display cases for trading card collectors and hat collectors. To me, it's the perfect way to display your collection. You can save at least 10% on your Sneaker Throne order by using the code HISTORY at sneakerthrone.com. That's history at sneakerthrone.com. If you're a Patreon supporter or a member of our Discord community, you already know about Kicks with V hot sauce and his small batch, locally sourced hot sauce. V has been one of the biggest supporters of sneaker history and the podcast since the early days. He's currently the defending champion in our community trivia nights competition. Kicks with V hot sauce has been a huge hit with the community. You can save 10% on your order by using the code SNEAKERHISTORY10 at kickswithvhots.com. That's SNEAKERHISTORY10 at kickswithvhots.com. Now, you're probably here because you like sneakers, and if you join the Discord, you know our community is about so much more than that. Whether it's the marathon-like community calls, trivia night debates, the in-person meetups, or just sharing our favorite experiences, we found that although we have such different backgrounds, we all have some unexpected shared passions. Not only does the entire community look out for each other when it comes to releases, we're like a support group for life in general. You can join the Discord community for free by heading to the show notes of this episode. After you're done listening to this episode, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Now let's get into today's episode.
Jordan trying to shake off Starks. Oh, what a LeBron James with no regard for human life. 12 seconds. Bryant for the win. Iverson against Gill. The crowd on its feet. Allen for the win.
Welcome to the Sneaker History Podcast.
What up, what up? Welcome back to the Sneaker History Podcast. My name is Nick Engvall. I got my guys, Rohit and Robbie, to talk about some new release sneakers. More importantly, catch up. It seems like it's been a while. I feel like we say that every episode now because we have all been trying to reconnect after the holidays and the new year and life. But what's good, guys? How you been?
I was going to say the R&R lineup is ready to go. We're ready. We're relaxed, and we're ready to pod our feelings about the holiday season and the pickups. But Robbie, how are you?
I'm good. I am thoroughly checking out Nick's hoodie. I want one of those.
Yes, Nick. Where could one pick
really
up
good,
such a illustrious
really good
piece
looking
of
hoodie.
royal blue hoodie?
I will get these up hopefully in the next few weeks. So, and I'll send you guys. I got some stuff to send you guys anyway. So
that is part plug and part legitimate interest, and that's what part of that's what legitimate.
The lighting
interest.
is not very good in here because I haven't set up in the new spot yet, but it's pretty damn close to like the Scream Green Hirachi combo. So,
do they run roomy? Is it like a large? Is it a roomy fit or is it
tapered fit?
Yeah, it's a roomy fit. Yeah, definitely.
I hate a tight around the torso hoodie. That's how I'm feeling. Yep. Nick, how are you doing though?
I'm good, man. You know, like I'm just thankful these storms are, 3 weeks of straight rain in California is not something we get very often. So we had some challenges with it, but we're surviving. I'm glad that they're over and happy to have an actual weekend with some sunshine too. I haven't had that in a while, so looking forward to it.
We back, baby.
Yes.
It's like we never left.
So like we never left. Anybody been rocking anything fun? Anything on their radar that they want to cop? Do a little rocking and copping?
From a rocking perspective, my New Year's resolution is to try to play pickup soccer for at least 90 minutes a week. And I figured what better way to stay true to that resolution by making sure my non-football footwear also has a football slant to it. Hence the Kobe 8 Mamba Curials, probably the best Mamba Curial colorway that's been executed. And as for copping, I know it's not coming out till holiday 23, but my goodness, those Grinch alternates might actually come to fruition, or at least as much as one can get to fruition in terms of being locked on sneakers and hoping to God that we've done enough to warrant a blessing from the Nike gods. How about you, Robbie? Any rocks, any cops?
Yeah, those Grinches will go in more detail. I've seen those in person twice now, and they are absolutely insane. When it comes to rocking, the 76ers mollywopped the Portland Trailblazers last night. So to commemorate Philly, I wore the only Philly shoe you need other than the new James Harden shoe, because that is a fantastic looking shoe. That'll be on the cop list later. And I recently copped, took a grail off the list. I got the Serena Williams, Virgil, Nike Blazer, impulse buy. I'm not a role model. It's not a good look. But I also got the Gel Light 3 Nice Kicks collab, the Black Sesames, because literally 9 or 10 of us in the Discord now have bought that shoe in the last rolling week. So I had to keep that going. And I also really want these Diodoras, right? So there's this Diodora Marvel X-Men collabs coming out. There's an N9002 that I believe is based off of Wolverine, and not like the bright yellow spandex Wolverine. It's like the black with the blue. I think there's a Storm also and a Phoenix colorway. But just, I'm buying Asics now. I don't know what's happening in my life. These Diodoras look cool. I'm looking for some new things, checking old ones off lists, and looking forward to new brands. But that Diodora stuff is actually, I think, a Champs collab exclusive. So now that Champs has acquired East Bay, has absorbed East Bay, it's kind of just one nonstop shop. It's kind of crazy to think how like Foot Locker and like Champs are like the successors, right? Like I thought East Bay would have made it over Champs. But here we are. So get those Diodora shoes at Champs, and I'll probably be trying to get a pair too.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, we probably should actually do a whole episode on East Bay at some point in the next few weeks. But
let's give it let the body cool down. Let it get to the morgue first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do have to say, like, not a sneaker cop, but I did buy a bunch of stuff from East Bay on their like 70% off, because they have all the like they always made their own like kind of team gear, right? So like I just grabbed a bunch of running pants and shorts and like like kind of just like workout gear, because it was like some of the stuff was like $4 for a long sleeve like tee or whatever, and it's like, well, okay, well, like just kept adding things to the cart, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll just get this little windbreaker thing too, and it's like, well, I'm only at $46. Cool, like nice little pickup.
Once upon a time, I managed a basketball team, and our jerseys and gear were from East Bay. Very good stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Rocking wise, I don't usually wear the more new styles of New Balance, but the 2002R, this kind of gray with purple and pink, kind of has that Kith, what is it? Non-native or United Arrows, I can't remember. Vibe.
Yeah, United
That's
Arrows.
what I've been wearing a lot lately.
Man,
but,
the New Balance love in the Discord, like a lot of it is brown and gray shoes. I still don't get it, but a lot of love for that brand. If you're a New Balance fan.
These are just crazy comfortable, and that's kind of the default lately. Like after all the, trips back and forth moving, like my, old ass was feeling it for a few weeks. So it's been like kind of like whatever I can. I've been doing sweats, sweatshirt, hoodie, and like the comfiest shoes I could find. So
when your old ass is feeling
default.
it, wear New Balance.
Exactly.
When your old ass is feeling it. I think what's crazy. So speaking of this being old asses, there's a lot of shoes coming out, and I think let's just start with a shoe that I never in my brain really thought would retro. For all this old asses, the DMP packs were huge, right? I think, Nick, you have a hilarious, great story of buying them over the phone with your friends. But the DMP 11 is supposed to be coming back holiday 2023. And is it a weird time in sneakers where like I'm excited? Because that shoe's been an unattainable shoe my entire life. I've never owned a pair, but I already have a fighting pair of Concords that I like. Do I need the gold eyelets? The answer is probably yes, I do. But I sold the varsity red, the Christmas Jordans of this year, because to help pay for these, I was like, I don't need these 11s. I have a millions of 11s. I'm going to sell those and buy these Blazers. But how do you guys feel about a DMP 11 coming back after all this time? Is it something you're looking for, or how do you feel about it?
I don't think you can have too many Concords, but let me ask you, Robbie, how many breads do you have? Because that may also work its way into that calculus of how many 11s is too many 11s.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have the bread 11s and I have the bread 11 lows.
Okay.
So I was like,
And then, I was going to say, we just got a bread 11, I want to say maybe 2-3 years ago. And then prior to that, the retro was maybe 3 to 4 years before that as well. So it's one of those things that we are getting conditioned to always buy the 11s come holiday time. And I think this almost feels like a attempt by Jordan Brand to be like, you know what, let's reward you guys, because some of these colorways have been interesting to say the least. The varsity reds, I mean, I know some people still swear them, but the Gammas never really did it for me. But this is one that I think it doesn't matter if you like gold or not. The Concord is a Concord, and it's probably the most iconic colorway there is of the 11 in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is interesting because like we're getting to the point where you kind of almost expect colors to return in a weird way, where 15 years ago, whatever, you would think this is the only time this shoe is ever coming out, right? And now everything is getting retroed. I don't know, like it's tough because I think that this is probably the best non-original Jordan 11 color ever. I know it's only slightly different from the Concords, but the story behind the defining moments and like just like the championship kind of celebration of having the gold on there is like, and it's done tastefully, right? Like, I don't want like, gold foil 6s or whatever those were a few years back. Like it's too gaudy, but this is kind of like, to Rohit's point, it feels like Nike kind of just saying like, all right, let's kind of throw this back there for the, the older heads that have been complaining a lot and get something out there. But I think that, yeah, like, for me, it's super important because like I have that crazy memory in the story of like, my brother, my roommate, Aaron, who's been on the Exhaust Notes podcast with us, is in the Discord all the time. And my other friend, Mike, kind of we're all we were sharing a house and Mike was over and we were all trying to get the shoes, but it was like they were releasing at midnight. And back then, internet shopping wasn't like the thing, right? Like you couldn't really do that kind of thing anyway. So we called up East Bay about half hour beforehand and, just started asking questions about all this random product. And my friend Aaron was like, talked to this girl for like 20 minutes and was just like, yeah, can you, answer these questions about this random Air Max shoe and like, blah, blah, blah. And like, next thing you know, it's like, okay, we're watching the clock. He's still on the phone. We're like, okay, can you ask if we can all order, if we can order the Jordans? She let him order. And then as long as we use different cards and I think maybe different addresses, I can't remember that part. I'd have to ask him, but basically as long as we all use different names and different credit cards, we could all order and stay on the phone with her. So we basically all four ordered, a set. And, like for me, like the plan was like kind of like, I don't know that it would be that way this now in my life. But then I was like, man, if I ever get married, these guys are going to be at my wedding anyway. We're all going to have these, DMP 11s to wear to the wedding. I mean, I'm sure if you listen to this podcast, you've heard me talk about the 11. Like I wore it to high school prom, got made fun of. Like the 11's like super important to me. But my relationship with the 11 and obviously everyone's relationship with Jordans has changed so much since then. but it's still like when I saw this, I was like, there's no way I can not try to get this, right? Like I just don't see how I couldn't. To Rohit's point, like the Gamma Blues, like I thought it was okay, but it's like, no, not really. But the one thing I will say about the 11 that is really kind of almost like a frustrating point to me, they've never really done like the just like white and royal blue color, right? Like it's never been like I know they did the lows at one point, but like the mid, whatever the opposite of those, you know, cherry 11s that just came out, the blue version of that would be a shoe that I would love to have. Like, I feel like there were samples way back in the day. There were orange samples way back in the day. Both of those were like always like, oh, wow. I remember digging through the forums and finding those and seeing them and thinking, damn, if they ever made those, I would love to get them. But they just kind of always disappeared and never came back. And that's one thing that I think they missed for the like, if you're looking at colors, right, they've kind of missed that part of the spectrum of traditional sneaker colors.
Yeah, and I was going to say, most people don't know this. The operator that was on that fateful phone call, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, if you can actually believe that.
That's how long ago it was.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's just crazy because, you know, I bought the DMP 6s when they retroed 2 years ago. And I fucking sold them like 6 months later. So I'm like, I'm not going to wear these. They're cool. Did the same thing with the Toro 5s. I wanted those shoes so bad. I get them, and now I'm like, I'm not going to wear an old red shoe. Cool gray 3s, same thing. So I wonder if I bought the Concords, not the Concord, the DMPs, if I would actually keep them or, yeah. I just, if I look in the mirror and say I'm not going to wear them, I kind of just let it go. You know, let's do a little pulse check because Nick, you weren't on when we had a chance to talk about it, and I think we've seen more looks and colors and on-foot performances in the new Ja Morant one, the Ja one. Release is coming up fairly soon. They're doing some kind of like scattered stuff until like the actual release date in April. But has it grown on you at all, Nick? I don't think we ever got your initial thoughts, but what do you guys think about the Ja one? I give it a mids. It is mids, as the kids say. It's mid.
All right, I like it. I mean, I'm always a little more optimistic to these signature shoes, especially like the players that aren't the pinnacle player. Although I think he will be in a few years, which is why I think it is going to be beautiful to watch. You know, he seems to be a little more level-headed than our friend in Brooklyn. I'll just say, you know, and not the tall one, the short one in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just one of those things where, like, he's so deserving of this shoe. I feel like, and my hope is that, like, this actually kind of shifts the narrative for sneakers as a whole back to basketball a little bit. I don't think like the entire industry is going to be like, cool, we're all wearing basketball shoes again. I think we passed that. But I do think that from a influence standpoint, he plays on another level, you know. Like, I love watching Luka, but I'm not buying shoes because of Luka. I love watching Zion, but I'm not buying shoes because of Zion. Ja Morant will pull off some crazy shit, and I will go buy that pair of shoes on a whim if I can, because it was like, good God, did you see that? And like 20 years from now, we'll have a conversation about this, like, you know, ugly purple colorway, pinkish purple colorway. That's like probably not the best shoe to debut, in my opinion, color-wise. But like, I do like the official shots of that, like kind of bluish, blue and green and yellow, whatever that first launch color is. Quite a bit. And I think, you know, there's just a ton of potential. I know that I feel like Nike is very safe on those first signature shoes anyway, but I feel like this is going to evolve really quickly into something really special.
No, I was going to say, cut to the Anchorman gif of, man, that escalated quickly. As you were kind of waxing poetic on Ja, the thought that just came to my mind is this. The same way Allen Iverson kind of ushered in a new era, not only in terms of fandom, but the sneaker impact as well. I think that's what we're going to get with Ja. Not necessarily a fan of the shoes, but I kind of see Nick's point. Like, this is a good building block. You can't obviously build Rome in a day, but I don't think I've seen a player be embraced by not only mainstream America, but the streets, the little kids, the way Ja Morant has since Iverson. And I know that I haven't heard that comparison made too much, and if it has been, apologies, but I think that is the type of trajectory I expect now, because there has not been this captivating, this gritty, this grimy of a undersized point guard the way Ja has since Iverson. And I'm really hoping that much the way that Iverson embodied that Philly aesthetic of being the city of brotherly love, being tough, throwing batteries at Santa Claus, just being persnickety, lack of a better term. Morant embodies grit and grind in a way I haven't seen, but there is something very breathtaking, and that's not something I attribute with the words grit and grind, the way he just jumps over folk. And I think when Mike and I were chatting about it as well, I told everybody, please fear for your favorite European center, because Ja's about to make a whole collection of posters for up and down the entire EU. And yeah, I can't wait to see what they do. I have calmed down because I honestly thought, I was like, man, this is, lack of a better term, a Janowski in terms of what it reminded me of. But then I also thought about it. It's like the dude spent so much time in the air like a skateboarder. Nike's onto something that we plebes just haven't kind of seen in our own mind. So excited to see. Robbie, what do you make of the man?
Okay, time out. Did you know that we have an entire network of podcasts? That's right. It's called the Retrospect Podcast Network, and it includes a number of shows that you might like if you're enjoying this one. First up is for the F1 fans. Exhaust Notes is a Formula One podcast that's the perfect balance for the new fans joining the sport and the tried and true diehard F1 fans who've been there all along. New episodes of Exhaust Notes drop every Tuesday on all of your favorite podcast platforms and at exhaustnotes.fm. We've also got a show for the fitted hat collectors out there called Crown and Stitch. As a baseball fan, I've been obsessed with hats for as long as I can remember, and the number of people collecting now has gone through the roof. It reminds me of sneakers back in the day, and I absolutely love seeing creativity of the new releases. Every Wednesday, we drop a new episode of Crown and Stitch on all of your favorite podcast platforms and on YouTube at youtube.com/crownandstitch. If you follow me personally on social platforms at Nick Engvall, you probably already know I first dipped my toes in the podcast game back in 2015 with a show called Outside the Box. Originally hosted by my friends Brandon Edler and Jacques Slade, it eventually evolved into a show with Tiffany Beers, Jacques Slade, and myself, and then into an interview series with some amazingly creative guests. While the show has gone through a lot of changes throughout the years and is currently on hiatus, a lot of people have been enjoying past episodes recently, and I'm excited to say I have new episodes in the works for the new year. We'll be adding new podcasts to the Retrospect Network in the coming months as well. In fact, if you'd like to advertise on any of the shows, be a guest on any of the shows, or even talk to us about getting your own podcast started, reach out to us at podcast@sneakerhistory.com and find out more about the podcast network at retrospectpodcast.com.
Mate, you're very excited. Like you were all about that, and that's great. I mean, I think it's ugly. I don't really like it that much. I do like how it says, "We ain't ducking no smoke" on the back heel. That part of it, I think, is really cool. I think, like the Katie line in the early days, they made it like a real focus point to have like mementos and callbacks to different parts in Ja's life in his young career. That part's super cool. But yeah, I just not the shoe for me. But
if I could get you guys
he's a great player
to
though.
wear your PLM hats, can you guys give me your dream Ja 1 colorway? Because I've got two ideas in my mind, but I want to hear what you guys think, because inherently you're two of the most creative people I know, especially when it comes to footwear.
I mean, go ahead.
I guess I'm uncreative because I would just I'd put like the Weatherman KD4 on the first colorway of the Ja 1 because he likes wearing KD so much. Like, all right, we're gonna give you the Weathermans and repurpose it. So yeah, I'm not creative. What about you, Nick?
I mean, I wouldn't say that it's a very creative idea either, but I would just go straight to the Vancouver Grizzlies era jerseys and like just totally embrace that story, right? Because obviously Memphis has like just somehow like beat the odds and like keeping the team there, I think, through the years. Like obviously there's plenty of places, Sacramento being one of them, where like there's times where there's like rumors of like, hey, the team might not be around much longer and it might go someplace else. But I think with Memphis, like there's so much legacy there in like this new generation, not new in like Ja being the new generation, but like our generation of consumer that's like obsessed with that era of jerseys and uniforms and the sneakers that went along with it and like the stories that tie all that together. And I think there's a lot of ways where you could tie that into the roots of the team and make it really, really interesting, but not being too far outside of like what, you know, the true fans of the team would want to have too, which, you know, and I think like, I guess like the question I have about this one, to your point, Robbie, it's like they did all of these tiebacks, which that's one of my favorite parts about what Nike does. I think they do it better than anybody when it comes to basketball shoes, especially, but it always feels like every new signature shoe starts from the beginning again. Instead of like, we've made it this far with the Kobe line, now let's move from the Kobe line forward, right? It feels like, and I get that you want a player to like build out his own legacy in a lot of ways because that's what's been successful in the past. But sometimes I feel like, I don't know, you know, they almost go too simplified on that for a shoe sometimes, where it's like, you know, you have someone like Robbie who's like, I'm not into this at all, because there's nothing like over the top interesting about it, right? It's very much like kind of tried and true things that we've seen, you know, like obviously the cushioning is going to be interesting. The swoosh is slightly modified from what we expect and know from basketball shoes, but like not really, because it's pretty close to the LeBron 20, right? Like it's a little bit different.
You don't have to
but
tell
like
the origin story pretty much every time.
And I think it's interesting you bring that up, Nick, because I do see that LeBron 20 trying to usher in a new era while at the same time staying true to it. So it almost feels like a reboot. The jaw thing for me, my two colorways, one, you have to do like one homage to barbecue or Beale Street in some way, shape, or form. Maybe like a saxophone, make it really gold and shiny. And then the other thing, similarly, Memphis wrestling. Like wrestling is so engrounded in that city's civic pride, its DNA, its pedigree, whatever you want to call it. So give me a championship belt or a Jerry the King Lawler one, because I think that would be pretty sweet. And yeah, let's get out of the box. We know that it's almost funny because you can always kind of identify what the first version of a signature sneaker looks like. The other thing I was thinking about is this gives me a lot of KD1 vibes for some reason. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the price point. Maybe it's just a similar aesthetic of watching somebody on the come up. But the way the KD kind of grew was really exciting. And 3 years from now, when we're talking about the Ja 4, and I have this theory that every modern basketball sneaker that Nike makes tends to peak, or not peak, but tends to hit its pinnacle at the fourth iteration of a colorway. I'm excited to see where they go with this.
That's a whole episode conversation.
That's what we do. We
Only
basically,
time will tell.
we're gardeners. We plant seeds for future episodes, and hopefully they blossom because we remember to water them.
You were just on point tonight. That's like
New year, new
master
me.
metaphor right there. I mean, speaking of,
He's lying. This has been Rohit the whole time. He always brings the heat.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Go check the old episodes if you need to.
Yeah, check the tape. I mean, Rohit brought it up earlier, but the Kobe 6 reverse Grinch, that shoe is going to be a problem, and it's, I mean, there really isn't enough ways to make the amount of stock you need to satisfy not only the Nike fans, but like the greater Kobe touch, you know, entire state, country,
World.
continent. So it's just like the competition with other people, just because there is a holiday Kobe coming out, is going to be even greater. But man, you could release almost any like sample that I've seen from the Kobe, in between what Devin Booker wears and Ja and, you know, all these players. I need these Kobe 6s bad. That's a fantastic looking shoe.
So I have a question for you, because like the mock-ups that we've seen, right, are just essentially completely.
No, that's it.
flat.
No, I've seen like that. It is a mock-up, but that is literally the shoe. I think the outsole might be a little different, but it's straight up red with a black swoosh, and like that's 98%.
So is it like
faithful.
a varsity red, or is it like a
No, it's
habanero
University red, perhaps?
It's more of a. No, it's. I mean, think more like a, you know, like Christmas like bulb, like a nice like candy red. Like it's definitely, the mock-up doesn't do it justice. It's not shining the way it should. But yeah, it's a very straightforward. And the pair Anthony Davis wore, are the same. They are them. So you can get a couple different photos of them, but it works. I mean, I don't know. It's a red fucking Kobe 6. I mean, and the cool thing about it is you can take the laces out and put like black laces or any other color. Then you just have a really good looking black swooshed red Kobe.
I just want a pair of Volt laces or Grinch laces, if you want to call them that, because I hate speaking like this, but it would truly be a Christmas miracle if literally every one of us hit on those, because I think that would be the true season of giving. It's not going to happen, but a man can dream.
Yeah, I'll definitely be calling in.
Amazing.
I will be texting people I know on campus like, hey, man, how much? But I mean, not to just keep on Nike the whole time, but I feel like Air Force Ones had a little lull for a little bit. Like they were super hot. And then I think the past couple months, maybe 9 months, a year, they took a little dip to let the dunk come through and really captivate everybody. But there's these Valentine's Day Air Force Ones coming out. A little pink, a little red. I'm a sucker for a themed shoe if it's done right. And I'm a sucker for these little, I don't know why the little hearts, like little hanging cherry hearts from the swoosh, they get me, man. I've been an Air Force One freak for the past couple of years for no reason. Came out of nowhere. But I love Air Force Ones again. And these are definitely on my hit list. Like, I'm going to buy a pair.
Man, I think the only thing pinker than the swoosh is Nick Engvall's face right now with the lighting, but yeah, it's one of those things. You can have my sneakers pass, Robbie. If you need to get into the store that week, let me know. It's not for me, but I will never get in the way of true love, which, as you were kind of pontificating on it, I figured that is what true love feels like, is your homage to the Air Force One. So please, let me know how I can help.
Yeah, they actually did a really good job with that one. I mean, I'm not an Air Force One guy, but I like the heart on the heel too. The, like the mini swoosh in the swoosh is a cool touch. Heart on the midsole, like they just, I don't know. It's interesting because like I feel like this is probably one of the more challenging jobs at any footwear brand, is to be like, make the same theme that we made for the past 10 years, right? And like it's rare that like I would say that, and this is not shots at anybody that does this for a living, but it's rare that I would say, wow, that's actually a really cool version of X day, whatever, right? Just insert
Flag
holiday.
Day. Can't wait to see those colors go.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like if you're going to make a 4th of July shoe, like, we've already seen it. Right. Like, but this is actually really interesting to me because like we just haven't seen it done that way.
And what's wild is like, okay, so Dunks, Jordans, New Balances, insert New Balance Model X, but like shoes that have a lot of general fans, like people like wearing white Air Force Ones and people like wearing super rare, collab Air Force Ones. People like wearing rare Dunks, same kind of deal. Nike, and with the Air Force One, like in some years and some past lives, these would be like a hot release where like they sold out right away. And it's like, I love that Nike doesn't stop treating the Air Force One with that level of like effort. There's always a good looking Air Force One releasing every couple months. And there might not be one piece of copy written about it. There might be not even like, a sneakers drop. It's just that, it's on Nike.com one day. And it's just something imaginative and different. Or it's a retro of a classic that at one time was worth hundreds of dollars and now nobody cares. I have 2 pairs of West Indy Air Force Ones because I thought those would be hard to get, and now I have 2 pairs. And it's like, at one point in life that would have been instantly sold out. That's why I put 2 entries in and I have 2 pairs. But like Air Force Ones could not be cool at all, and they're still going to put the effort in. And they don't put that same kind of effort in with like Air Maxes. There'll definitely be spans where it's just like copy and paste Air Max stuff coming out, and it's just like
spans.
Those designers have a hard job. It's not easy. But to Nick's point, it's just like, make me a blue Air Max 1. It's like, well, for Christ's sake, we've done like 5. Like, how can I do that much different of a blue Air Max 1? But they find a way with Air Force Ones. They find a way to keep it spicy. I don't know. They went to like a couple's marriage or something. There's a violet metallic swoosh Air Force One. That one looks cool for no reason. It's just a good looking Air Force One. But then
I know you're not a New Balance 550 guy, but I think of this in the same vein of the way New Balance has been going at the 550, because they're just like, look, this is a great color combination. We're gonna run with it. So like white, gray, black, the like UCLA theme. I forget the other one that I just saw recently where like, it's just like kind of classic colors, and like it feels like New Balance is headed in that same direction almost, where it's like you could imagine this being like their version of the Air Force One in terms of like thematic, holiday stuff too.
Well, there's a Carolina Panthers, let's put it that way. Carolina Panthers inspired Air Max 95s. It's black and university blue. It's an all black Air Max 95, baby blue around the swoosh highlight, the Air Max on the tongue, and the eyelets. It's like, is there anything wrong with that shoe? Did the person who designed that colorway do a bad job? Of course not. But just at this point, since 1995, I have seen so many damn Air Max 95s where it's just like, unless you're really telling something cool, like, I'm not buying it. I'm not interested. That has to be like on sale for like $45 for me to buy that black and university blue Air Max 95. And I love 95s. It's weird.
The only thing I know about Air Max 95 is it got one of the game's friends killed. So I refuse to wear that shoe on principle alone.
Well, I think too, like the thing for me for the Air Max 95 is like, I'm probably not buying an Air Max 95 that doesn't have the gradient color, right? Because like the beauty of the shoe is in that gradient pattern, in my opinion. This shoe that you're talking about is like, I mean, look, it's black and university blue, white and university blue. Like that's arguably one of the most perfect colors ever. One, because it ties into Jordan and UNC and that whole conversation, but two, because it's like one of the most commercially popular shoes colors out there. So like there's all sorts of reasons for them to keep doing it. But to your point, it's like, maybe try some, like, I don't know. There's how many years, 30 something years of Air Maxes that we could try to do this with. Like, let's pick a different style and do that same color on. Cause we haven't seen it on an Air Max 93 or something like that.
And on this front page alone, there's like literally 5 different Air Force One models on here and they all look different. It's like, to your point, try something different, do something different. And it's like, they'll keep trying on the Air Force One, but Air Max 95, you got some basic copy and paste work and you're going to like it.
Do you think that's also because of the Air Force One is inherently a simpler shoe in terms of how it looks, its aesthetic compared to the Air Max 95? And they are saying, hey, with this simplicity, it allows us to go off the reservation a little bit more. Whereas the Air 95, it's a fine line between being bold and just being tacky. And they are trying very hard to play it safe, which inherently kind of makes it tacky.
It's probably the latter. It's like the Air Max 95 is harder to like pull off. There's a pale ivory Flight 95 coming out too, and that's a really hard look to pull off. Like it doesn't all work. Not everything works out the same way in many facets of life. But the Air Force One lends itself. You could deconstruct it. You can make it high. You can cut it up. You can put plastic parts on it. You can do like literally anything you want to that shoe. And when you try to apply those same ethos and tactics to like an Air Max 95, it gets bad quick. You get a Kim Jones, right? Air Max 95, and it's just like I
think the other part to like that colorway specifically, the black and like, almost all black, right? With just a little bit of like baby blue on it or university blue on it. Mm-hmm. The person that's buying that shoe is probably not like the sneakerhead consumer, right? It's like the average person that's like, oh, I really want a lot of Air Max because that's comfortable to me. They see it on the wall at Foot Locker and they're like that. Yeah, I can wear that one. It's not too crazy, but it's got a lot of cushioning. So I'll take it.
Foot Locker, I'll raise you. Somebody at Dick's Sporting Goods is buying, like in store Dick's Sporting Goods is buying those shoes. But I mean, man, it's just like, Nick, you brought up the point about like the 550. There's like 3 or 4 different new 550s being featured here too. White and gray, a Lakers, and a throwback to Chicago. And it's like, man, every brand, and we all bitch about Jordan brand not having like black cement 3s available all the time, but like these 550s and Air Force Ones and Club C's, right, are just like, They can come out all day, any day, in every single color, and there's going to be some human being on this earth that wants to buy them.
Yep.
Not to keep nursing the Air Force One thing, but it's just like, sorry, it's just like super on my mind now. Like, you can do so many different things with that shoe because it's so available. I mean, in terms of like people liking Air Force Ones, girls and, you know, preteens, grandparents, everybody in between, you can kind of get crazy on there because there's going to be somebody scrolling through the sneakers app or on Nike.com, and it's just like, I want something with a twist, right? You want something simple. Everybody's like something simple with a twist. And the Air Force
like
One,
red swoosh Panda dunks,
like a red swoosh Panda dunk, man, or Panda Jordan 1 mid. I mean,
Panda dunks
Jordan
with bamboo
1,
laces. Come on, let's just complete this.
yeah.
I mean, what's annoying is it's like the whole Panda thing that doesn't bother me. Because people get really upset, like, not everything's a Panda. I'm like, in your brain, in your heart of hearts person complaining about that, do you not see stuff that's black and white and think of pandas every time? Like, I see a cat that's black and white and I think it's a panda cat or a cow. So maybe we need more cow, you know, representation.
As an Indian,
when
I'm
we're
all
seeing
about
black
that.
and white
So
things.
please, from your mouth to the motherland's ears.
Maybe relax on the panda, but maybe go orca,
Ooh.
right? Maybe bring the orca back.
Zebra? Like, is a zebra a white animal with black
Zebras.
stripes or a black animal with white stripes? That's confounded the Malhotrians for generations.
That's crazy to think about, but it's just like, why is it always panda? There's a lot of black and white animals that I think have the same penguins. God's sake.
But I feel like penguins
that
had
the same
their
level of
run, though.
recognition.
Like, with all due respect to Morgan Freeman, like, the penguins were very much booming at the early part of the century. Like, they peaked in 2003.
They were.
They got a bit of Avril Lavigne to them.
The panda. Yeah, what? Man, I'm more conditioned now to say panda, but like historically, I really would think cow.
It is funny though, because like this is a whole nother topic for another deep dive too. But the nicknames that stick versus the nicknames that disappear, right? Like Panda has been like, I mean, Orca was literally a nickname for like years for Nike on all sorts of different shoes.
That were just white and black.
And like it just disappeared. And then like Panda comes along and it's like, well, every blog, every site, like,
do you feel that's catering to the Asian market? And like
variation.
The Asian market is probably the biggest proponent of Nike footwear, and they're like, you know what was once an Orca is now a Panda, because shout outs to our Asian brothers and sisters, because we want to show them some love. Who knows?
They were like, hey, wait, you're not buying all these Jordans and Dunks that we're pushing over here.
Actually, and I'm joking, but I'm also not kind of joking. Panda by one rapper named Designer came out in 2015, and that song was everywhere. Panda. I guarantee you that had a effect on why everything's now called white and black.
I mean, to borrow a concept from another podcast, the Rewatchables and Apex Mountain, is this the Apex Mountain for Panda non-animal? Like, is this it? Is it? Because I agree with Robbie. I thought it was a song, but now it truly is the dunk. Like, that is the first thing I think of. Outside of Chinese food, it's a skateboarding shoe. Like, that is the Mount Rushmore of Panda concepts to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Very interesting. Man, I have to say,
By
too.
the way, shout out to Panda Express, Beyond Orange Chicken. For those of us trying to avoid eating meat, is fabulous.
Beyond Orange
Sponsor
Chicken.
the podcast anytime.
Like, what's Beyond Orange? Like a nice goldenrod chicken? Like,
No, so I mean, I want to bring this up. So I was just scrolling down, and there's a Air Max 1 Golf that is literally like quoted as white and black. They had a chance and an opportunity there to call that a Panda Air Max 1 Golf, and they chose not.
but maybe they're showing tact, because I remember every black and red colorway for the longest time, didn't matter, was just being referred to canonically as bread. And I was like, okay, are we really getting liberal with this? Because in my mind, bread is reserved for the highest of highs. But kudos to Nike for showing tact. Like, is there, I'm not much of a golfer, but is there any portion of the game that has something that's inherently black and white? And maybe that's the internal name for it, because I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think we have to recognize that we don't know everybody on the internet. So when somebody says bread overarchingly or panda overarchingly, think about the last time you were in a retail store. Listeners who were former retail employees know this. You get people in there asking fucking for, all kinds of just goofy, like, wrong names. Those people are all existing. They're just all online now. So people get so butthurt and bent out of shape about what things are called. Like, you're letting somebody who is just with genuine ignorance describing a shoe because that's what it looks like to them, and it riles some people up. And this is like not anybody I know. It's literally I read comments on shoes like Sneaker News posts something and like the DMP, and people posting like that's the wrong nickname to like to user whatever, and it's just like, man, do you know that user whatever is just like
I'm just trying to learn.
Probably like a 45-year-old dude who went into a store one time and saw those shoes a decade ago, and we're just like, oh yeah, the pandas. It's just like
By the way, I love when you do voices.
Maybe that dude has a 16-year-old kid now, or a 14-year-old kid, and like they've been asked for pandas, and they see white and black Jordan and white and black shoe that their kid just asked for, so it's a fucking panda. Yeah. It's just like, and they have the internet, so they comment in that. Like, are they maliciously? Well, maybe they are.
No, I was just gonna say, Robbie, anytime you do a voice, it sounds like a background character from South Park, and I'm here for it because the amount of indignation and fur that you were like, it's like, yeah, that's exactly our target audience. We are trying to troll everybody. You should go into a Reebok store and be like, hey, do you guys have a Panda Ultra Boost? And just watch their head explode.
That's super fun.
It's also the exact voice that I hear in my mind when I read user Team America 6853216472.
Well, that's super hilarious, bro. I've never made that connection, but I describe any when I am referring to another person while being myself. I do watch a lot of South Park, and I grew up watching a lot of South Park, and that's probably where I got that from subconsciously. Like, it didn't ever occur to me, but that's totally true.
I thought this is Robbie. I mean this in the most respectful way, but you are truly the Randy Marsh in my life. I never knew I needed, but now that I have you, I will never let you go.
Randy Marsh is one of the most developed characters in that universe. Speaking of developed characters, do you guys care about a new Travis Scott Air Jordan 1? We're not going to get them. I mean, it'd be cool. Yeah. It's called The Final Travis Scott. It's like, what? That's a lie.
Is it Travis?
But this, I mean, is it the last one? But I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm a sucker for like an olive jacket, an olive pair of pants, an olive bag. I love olive and army greens. So like all of these shoes have pretty much spoken to me, except for the white and blue ones. But this is a great looking. Like, if I could, I would happily take this shoe. Like, I really want a pair. But olive just gets me, man. I can wear olive shit all the time. I love it.
I love it a lot too.
I love it.
I think this is my favorite colorway of all of them so far, to be honest. I do like the fragment colorway, but I have no interest in like owning that shoe because it just seems like a weird collab to me. But I think the coolest part about it is just a women's release, right? I think they're doing women's and kids, which, props to them for doing that. Even if it means harder times for me and Robbie at the higher end of the footwear spectrum trying to buy those shoes. There won't be, if any, there will be very few.
I believe in you.
I have to say, like, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind.
It's okay. I mean, for me, I'm probably the least of the Travis Scott demographic, but to Robbie's point, olive shoes, can't go wrong with them. It's like purple for me. Like, you can never do anything wrong if you pull off a tasteful olive or a tasteful purple colorway. It's a shame that there's a very strong likelihood that I will never hold one in my hands, or more importantly, wear one on my foot. But kudos to them, because this is a step in the right direction, and I kind of like it. And I'm also here for the corresponding apparel and equipment collaborations as well, because I think it's only going to be fire. So kudos to you, Travis Scott. And if this is actually the final one, then you know what? I'll pay over retail for it.
I remember what I was going to say now, Nick, because you said you don't like the frag one very much. That frag Travis one low, the high top, I think is it looks corny. Like the color blocking is not good. It's not a well color blocked shoe. But the low top one, everybody from like Kim Kardashian to somebody I see on the street to like Matt Schuhafner posting a pair he's wearing. That shoe looks so freaking good on foot. The materials are so on point. You look at it and you're like, damn, that's a well-made. Like you can just tell it's a well-made Jordan 1, and the color blocking's really good. That's definitely like the same. Like these were on the hit list. One day I will get a Travis 1 low because like feel how you will about him. Like when you see them on foot, like some shoes, you're just like, oh man, that's kind of like not what I thought it would be. Or, you know, it's the Travis lows live up to expectation with what they should be. Obviously it's not a $1,700 shoe, but it definitely is a $200, $250, whatever they're retailing asking for, but they're beautifully made.
Yeah. Totally agree.
So any other? So I guess we're kind of went long on a couple different shoes. Anything, just quick fire you're looking forward to in the next couple?
I think this, we've just kind of been looking through like the release sites and stuff. There's 2 shoes. I don't know that I'll actually get them, but that Y2K Gel Light 3-pack is interesting to me. I'm more curious like how they came up with that color scheme for a Y2K pack. But the accent colors are great. I don't necessarily need like the shiny silver on them. And then I saw the Reebok Blast is coming back, which as a pretty diehard Reebok collector, like that shoe has eluded me each time it's come back. So I'm going to try to get those for sure.
I think for me, the SB Dunk Low Warritos, just because the fact that by itself, it looks great, but then we started seeing photos where the swoosh has turned from green to orange, and I'm like, this is perfect. Like, kudos once again to the Dunk team. You've figured it out in terms of the storytelling and just the demand for it. So that's probably the next most anticipated shoe on my cop list if I'm feeling adventurous enough to try for it.
Jarritos. Nick, you definitely know about having a strawberry Jarritos and some taquitos at Taqueria. Yeah, that's like my whole childhood. That was also my pick. And the fact that Index has a pair of Frag Jordan 1 lows for $1,500 in my size, brand new. I don't need to see that right now. But the Jarritos, that was my pick. Like I'm going to be buying a pair of those.
You and me both. And then we'll reenact the Arnold Schwarzenegger Carl Weathers meme where we'll clink a couple of Warrito bottles together and then do some weird sort of footsie action. Can't wait for that day.
Well, what's funny is I also have the Tecate dunks, so I love Mexican drinks and dunks apparently. So if I can get both, I mean, got a nice little.
And I was gonna say we've got Mike's
option.
coffee show with kicks, and then we've got Drinks and Dunks.
Drinks and dunks. Or dunks and drunks. Who knows? That's actually we need to not post that.
I might have to try that.
That's too good of an idea. Take that back. Alrighty, so anything else from the group?
That's about it. I think I would say 2023 is I'm more optimistic about sneakers in 2023 than I have been. I'm always optimistic about sneakers, but like the number of just like good shit silhouettes and colors that I've seen so far from all the brands right now, like it's just a great time to be into sneakers and like be able to explore other brands, you know? There's just so much good stuff out there, you know, like we could go through a list of literally Saucony and Asics and New Balance, and Hoka has a couple of interesting things coming out, which I would not normally say. I know like you've been talking about the On stuff forever. And I was just talking to somebody today. I was like, eventually I'm going to get some, but like, I just aesthetically, I don't like them, but you talk about how comfortable they are all the time. And I'm just like, every time I see them on sale someplace, I'm like, is this the time? Is this the moment that I finally go for it? But
do your feet the favor, man.
Yeah, I definitely will eventually. For sure this year. I've never owned any Ons and I've never owned any Hokas. And I want to definitely grab a pair of each of those this year. So.
Hokas are for hoes. related. So we got these Puma shoes, the Nitro 2, and I've been running in them. Quick little review. They're great walking shoes, man. Maybe it's just me, but the heel bed, the platform isn't really big. So like, I feel like my heel swooshes around and it kind of hurts after a little bit. They're great to walk in though. I've had people ask me about those Pumas and I had to give my honest thoughts after running a couple miles in them now. It's like, maybe it's my feet, man. I think I just have bad feet. That's my problem. I have bad feet. And also
they're a little, I haven't run in them yet, but I do plan on it. And I think just like, you know, I've taken the dog for a walk in them a handful of times. They're a little like maybe unstable. Not unstable. That's not the right word, but like maybe like Ultra Boost, like, you know, how like that sock upper kind of doesn't keep you in check, but,
you got a pair of Nitros too?
Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, they're great to walk. Like if you're just doing walking, highly recommend. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't run in them. I am a poor runner. Above anything else on earth, like I am not good at running. So it's just like, don't let me sway you one way or another. But yeah, that's all I got, group.
That's all I got.
With me.
Anything, Rohit?
Get out of here, dude.
All right, y'all. Well, thanks for rocking with us and listening. Make sure you hit the first link in the description to join us in the Discord. There's about 500 really awesome people in there right now. We'd love to have you in there, having these conversations throughout the week. If you are enjoying the show, make sure you check out our Patreon. Been putting more stuff back up on there, early access to episodes, more coming, giveaways coming. Like I got some stuff in the works with some of the guys from the Discord. So yeah, I'm excited. Like new year, same us, but some new energy. So looking forward to talking to you guys more. I guess let everybody know how to find you. They made it this far. They deserve to follow you, right?
I guess if you want to follow me, I'm just around the river bend like Grandmother Willow. No, actually, I'm on Twitter at Roheezy, on Instagram at RohitM13, part of the greater sneaker history cinematic universe on the Exhaust Notes podcast as well. Robbie, how about yourself?
You can find me realizing I own a pair of Vast Gray Dunk Highs. I saw a pair online and I was like, oh yeah, I had those. Realizations. You can find me at RAHBEE702. How about you, Nick?
You can find me at Nick Ingval on all the platforms, but more importantly, follow at Sneaker History everywhere. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Goodbye.
Adios.
Hey everyone, this is Nick again. Before you take off, do us a solid and head over to Apple Podcasts to leave us a review. Give us a rating on Spotify and Amazon Music, and make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have even more video content coming soon. Speaking of new content, we have an amazing community of sneaker enthusiasts that hang out in our Sneaker History Discord on a daily basis. While sneakers is a connection point that brought us all together, we've all discovered countless shared passions that we have in common with each other. We recently launched a couple of new podcasts directly from our community. One of them is a Formula One podcast. If you're an F1 fan like me, the Exhaust Notes podcast is your weekly fix of Formula One fun. It's hosted by myself, Rohit Malhotra, and Todd Yates. New episodes drop every Tuesday. I've been wearing fitted hats for years and collecting my favorite teams since I was a little leaguer. It has been awesome to see so many new fans getting into fitteds in recent years. Crown and Stitch is our new talk show about fitted hats with Dexter, Keith, and myself, where we talk about fitted hats, snapbacks, throw in some obscure hats because we all kind of like some funky stuff once in a while, don't we? Copping, collecting, and so much more. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Hit the links in the show notes for this episode to give our new shows a listen, and be on the lookout for more new podcasts dropping soon. Last but not least, tell someone you like their kicks today. You never know how far a simple compliment can take you, and we all know how good it feels to have someone show their appreciation. Thank you all for the support, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.